So another day in crypto and another massive sell-off. And then we're also dealing with Solana FUD and all these things. So there's a lot happening here today that we're going to deal with. Number one, we're going to deal with the Sol situation. We're going to talk about why Sol is looking so miserable at the moment. And I'm going to give you some levels that I think are interesting here for Solana. Then I've got a ton of trades. We might be getting a bounce right now after this current sell-off. There could be longs for me on PEPE, on WIF, and even on AVAX could be playing out right now for us. So watch this closely. We're going to deal with a dump. Lots to talk about here. It's Friday. I'm in the cave. Let's get into it. And don't forget, if you're enjoying the content, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the bell. And if you're enjoying the blood, well, you know, you dark that way then, aren't you? Look at this banter bubbles looking a little bit messy at the moment here for me. It's red, okay? It's red AF. But don't forget, look in the center there. It says own a Cybertruck. Now, I'm going to tell you how to do that. It's as simple as trading on Bybit. So we'll talk about that one a little bit later. Nice little recovery here on BTC. Look at this today. It's 0.2% up. So it's basically done an entire round trip here. And it's now reacting on a little zone. So we're going to see if this bounce is going to be real or not. But it's reacting where it was yesterday. But overall, it's misery everywhere. But we still maintain that we are hitting some okay regions here on some of these altcoins. So maybe there is going to be some kind of relief rally, but we got a lot to deal with here. So let's just look at the current situation. Look at this bounce, bang. Raymond, this is exactly where we caught this long yesterday. Okay, did we call this long yesterday? Beautiful little move there. And here we are again. Look at this, the same level that we caught that little scalp off yesterday afternoon late. Look at this. We moved into that zone, the 62,400. We've just pinged this area again after this current sell-off. So if you are scalping, well, that is now your low. Low marker 62,408 is what you're going to be watching. If this bounce is actually real and it's not some kind of just little squeeze now for all the late shorters, then we should expect BTC to hold the 50-day and start pushing a little bit higher. So ideally, you want to just get this candle pushing above 63,200, somewhere in that region. Then we can start getting a little bit more comfortable. But nice to see a good reaction. Hopefully some of you guys got the scalp. Yesterday on the show, we were talking about a little fake out into this little region here. So glad to see this 62,400 played out beautifully for us yesterday. Then another move down, and here we are. And a little bounce in place. So what are we watching now? Downside, well, you've got your marker. This is the marker now for the next few hours that you can be watching, 62,400. We want to hold 63,200. If we can just get a little bit above that region, that's going to be fun. And then big resistance, you can see it here, 65,260. That is a big zone. We've had 3 rejections now in that area, so there will be a fight in that zone. So eyes on that. And then here's that little scalpy that we just jumped into here. You can see I've banged my stop directly under the green candle. So we got that bounce. It started moving. I added a little bit to the position, and I've just banged the stop under that candle. We're going to see how that plays out. So my current stop is 62,693, but you can push it as low as 62,260, somewhere in that area if you want to. Okay, I don't really want to get some kind of flush out here. So we had a nice long yesterday. Let's see if we get a nice little move here, and we should be getting some kind of reaction of some of these altcoins. Let's just take a look here. There's WIF. There's one of them reacting right now, and there is PEPE reacting right now off of 618. So we're going to deal with that in depth shortly. But let's get into some of the other juice. So there's a lot to talk about, and obviously you guys have been sweating bullets here. And Ray, you stuck on my screen. Are you on my screen here? What's going on? What's going on? You're just sitting there with the goggles. What's happening there, bro? Okay, so here is Michael Saylor. We know the deal, okay? They bought another 169 BTC, okay, for $11 million. These guys are absolutely cooking, but the news didn't end there. And they actually took it a little bit further. They've now raised $2 billion to buy more, okay? So remember, all these moments when you are selling your BTC, you are selling it to guys like this. They are happy to take your BTC from you. They are not scared to buy BTC when there's a couple of red candles. They understand the bigger picture and where things are ultimately going to be going. So remember, when you're feeling bearish and you want to offload, especially your BTC, think about that, man. He will take that with glee from you guys. And Remco, just reminding us, the macro situation there is not ideal at the moment. And I think this is playing out in a ton of these markets at the moment. You can see things are super messy. But let's just deal with the S&P firstly. So right now, the guys are saying there's a 50 basis point rate cut possibility for September. Okay, so now there's a lot of news happening in the market here, but this is what the guys are starting to talk about. And we had the jobs news come out today. Wasn't great. The labor market is beginning to crack, according to the 𝗑𝗫𝗣𝗍𝗑 letter, and that is potentially now showing up in the current S&P. Look at this thing. It's finally bled out. Now, we called this one perfectly the other day. We were looking to close this gap. What we did, we came through here, we smashed this gap here, we got that short, and I closed my short here on the S&P at this region here, but now we've gapped down, and there is a potential bounce opportunity in play right now for the S&P. So there could be a short-term bounce here at this current level, this 5,295. There could be a short-term little bounce into that region, and then maybe we're going to send that one lower, because I think ultimately the big level that we want to target on the S&P is 5,226. So that is the one I'm watching closely. That for me will be a lovely bounce area for us, and to really start playing the game. But the S&P gapping down, not a good look. Okay, big rejection here after filling yesterday's gap, and super messy at the moment. And you can see it's played its part in crypto. It's played its part on a ton of these other markets. Are you bullish here, Ray?
I mean, Ray, are you bullish? That's really what I want to know.
Not on a Friday.
Ray's not bullish. Ray's not bullish on a Friday. Guys, do you like my new cave? Look at my sign. But did you die? If you've watched the Hangover, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about here. And I think it's nice. It ties in with trading really well. The "but did you die" sign. Okay, another bit of the news happening here is the Japanese yen is cooking against the USD. Okay, so there's stuff happening in Japan at the moment. They've raised their interest rates, and there's a whole situation brewing there. And this is the current USD versus the yen chart. And you can see the dollar is currently weakening to the yen. That is naturally playing its part in global markets as well. And if you want to read a little bit about this, the FX Street guys have basically told you what is going on. The Bank of Japan have raised interest rates, okay? They're also going to be tapering their bond purchases. Okay, that's another tightening step. And then the US economy showing signs of weakness, such as this week's PMI for July. Okay, it posted its sharpest contraction since November 23. Okay, this has driven funds away from the US dollar towards safe haven assets. Okay, so there's a ton going on there in the market. And also, look at this. The Japanese, they raised some rates, and what happens to their stock market? Bang! Down 16% in 17 days, the worst crash since something like 1987. Okay, so that's a little bit of a rough ride. If those guys are long on margin, that is going to feel a little bit of a deep burn. Say that one more time. It would have been a great short. Absolutely. Look at this thing. 16% down on the index in a day. Imagine what that would happen to the S&P if the S&P dropped 16% in a day. Then this guy came out a little bit too early. Okay, so I was actually laughing about this. I wanted to show you guys this. So this guy tweets, US stocks are nuking hard right now. Okay, Intel down 28%, Amazon down 10%. Meanwhile, crypto is barely budging. Okay, this is what this guy was saying. So basically what I wanted to say was, hang on. These guys came out and they said, hold my beer. And they dropped some FUD, and crypto joined the party. So we've now got $1.5 billion BTC and ETH that is set for creditor repayments from Genesis. So if the Germans aren't selling and there's no Mt. Gox FUD, I mean, fuck me, these guys can find something every day just to send it a little bit lower. The minute these guys saw that crypto was holding up and the S&P was falling over, they probably just phoned. They said, Hans, release the tweet. And there it goes. So now they sent us a little bit lower. And here's our current trade. Okay, so Ray, so we're still bouncing here a little bit. And let's see how this is going to play out as we tick along. Let's just take a look at the quick liquidation map before we get into Sol. And let's see what is going on. Okay, so upside, these bears. Okay, I'm telling you now, bears, I'm warning you. Okay, you now getting overconfident. And I suspect you're going to get rinsed. Okay, so look out. 67,600 up to 67,600. That looks like an area of interest to me. You can see the shorts currently outweighing the longs. It makes sense because everyone who was longing in the last couple of hours just got rinsed out And that is what we're looking at. So 67K, somewhere in that region, interesting to me. Downside, they could easily now come and send this thing down to 60K. So let's just see, what does that look like on the daily chart here for BTC? Look where we got 60K. We've got our previous big support level. We were looking at this area for a very long time. And here it is. It is now the 618 fib. Now, wouldn't this make absolute perfect sense if this was a 15-minute chart and we were getting a little pullback? We'd say, wow, okay, this thing is definitely tracking down. We're going to long this 618. So right now, this on the daily is starting to look like a reality for me on BTC. And I think it's only a matter of time until we ping the 60K region, the 618 and things like that. So interim, we might get some bounces and things like that. We could even get a push higher, but I'm expecting this to be tapped before there's any major moves here coming for us. So watch out and look at that zone closely. 59,800, somewhere in that region, I suspect is going to be some kind of magnet for us. But along the way, we will be having fun. Along the way, there will be bounces while this is playing out for us. So nothing to stress about too much. Dominance is an issue. Okay, for me, we saw dominance absolutely ripping there when BTC was dumping, and you could feel that with pressure in some of your altcoins. But now dominance has got a test of its own. We are pushing into an area of interest for me. I would love this little rejection here, and that is going to unload these alts from these deep pressure situations that they are sitting in right now. These 618s, these 786s that these alts are sitting in at the moment, that should help them just bump a little bit higher here again. And we're not looking for a moonshot here. We're just looking for a little bounce on some of these altcoins if BTC so chooses to behave a little bit. Now, here we go. This is a perfect example of why I'm saying, this is ETH, by the way, ETH on the 8 hour. Here's a perfect example as to why I'm saying, you know, we're just looking for some kind of short-term bounce. It doesn't necessarily mean this is the bottom of any move, because right now, if you look at ETH, what has happened here? We've lost a key level. This was our key level we were watching yesterday, 3,100. We came back. We bounced off that zone, okay, beautifully, had a great reaction. We've come back down. We've lost that area, okay, 3,100. And now look how perfectly we have pinged the 786 fib. Guys, you can't make this shit up. You literally can't make this shit up. If you love fibs and you love trading, come hang out with me in the Sniper Club, okay? There's a link in the description. I'm obsessed with these fibs, and this is why these things are working. So something as simple as this, the 786 ping for ETH, and now you have your support marker. So 2,978. That is what you're going to watching for ETH. And where is my higher conviction long for ETH? Where am I looking for an ETH play? Well, for me, 2,800 is looking like a reality for me. So ETH looking for this move lower down. And I was saying to the Sniper Club guys earlier today on a live Zoom session that we had. And, you know, higher conviction play, 2,800 for ETH. It's very unusual that you would find the bottom of a move, okay, at a non-major area. Okay, so this 786 fib isn't a major area for me. So it would be very surprising to say that was the bottom of ETH and now we're sending it higher. So just looking at this chart, it feels to me like ETH needs to come to 2,800 somewhere in that region. Let's just look at the size of this move relative to where we are now. That's about another 7%. So that could be interesting. I want to just see what BTC has to do to get to that 60K level. Let's just see if we have some kind of correlation. Bang, 5%. Okay, so this for me makes perfect sense here. We get a BTC drawdown, 5%. We get ETH somewhere around 7%, and we should hit somewhere in that region for us. So that is starting to make sense for me. Now, before we get into Solana, let's just talk 𝗚𝗦. This thing was incredible. Okay, the way this thing has turned super bullish lately. If you are longing and shorting this, you're having a good time, number one. But remember, the moves are very fast here. So if you're short, you got to be out very quickly. If you're long, you can see what's happening. This thing's rejecting super quickly. So I see Pickle was in our Zoom today. Nice one, Pickle. There were a lot of traders in the Sniper Club today. What is going on? Maybe because it's summer, but there was a lot of traders in the Sniper Club sitting there without their shirts on the Zoom. And I was thinking these guys are super bullish here without their shirts. But let's not digress. 𝗚𝗦, big support here for you guys. Again, 104. That is our number. You can see this region has pinged us twice now. Okay, are we going to get another visit here on this 104? So 104, big level for 𝗚𝗦 traders. And the target for me upstairs, we're still looking at 131. So no changes to the current situation here on 𝗚𝗦. 131 is what we're looking at. Upside support 104, no changes until that is broken. Okay, once they JMO charts up, shirts off. I agree. Okay, guys, we're going to get into the soul stuff here, but let's see who's in the chats. And come on, do you guys like this sign? I thought this was hilarious. The sign here in the back, and look, it's giving me the thumbs up here. But the stuff is all going down. And Dad with 3, he says he's got no more animals to sell, guys. If you got a goldfish, you know what to do, okay? Ether 200, we're selling the goldfish. My hamster bolted. I got rid of that hamster somewhere around 3,250. And now we're going to have to get rid of that goldfish. So we're going to see how that goes. Let's see what else we got. Teddy's laughing hysterically, but he loves the sign. And yeah, that's great, guys. But did you die? Okay, so what? You got stopped out, but did you die? Okay, that's basically what I'm trying to say here to you guys. And what else do we have here? Watch out. Ivan says, watch out to the angry bears. And DJ Deb says, I'm next level. Well, we'll have to wait and see. Let's see. Monga says, Lord of Entry in the house. Okay, guys. And remember, you leave your charts for me in the comments section, and I'm going to chart them for you. Yesterday, somebody asked me for dusk, which I'm busy charting for you guys. I've got ready. And there was another one they asked me for, and I'm getting that prep for you guys. So those are on their way. And just remember, leave after the show in the comments, leave the charts you want. And I'm going to pick 1 or 2 every day and chart them for you guys. Okay, so just keep going. And again, just you don't have to ask super nicely, but the ones that might get my attention will be the ones that I'll obviously be grabbing there for you guys. Okay. Let's deal with this. You might have noticed Sol wasn't looking good the last couple of days. Well, the market as a whole was not looking good the last couple of days. But as it turns out, the TLDR, okay, is basically there's a secret wallet hiding linked to FTX with 8% of the total Sol supply on it. Okay, that works out to $6 billion in sell pressure. Okay, you can be excused for panic selling or doing whatever because $6 billion and 8% of supply is a ridiculous amount of Solana. So suddenly the market is in a bit of a panic, and you can see this little report here. Ex-FTX employee whistleblower, he reveals the hidden FTX wallets holding 8% of Sol. Okay, so that naturally creates some kind of pressure. That naturally creates some kind of FUD and fear in the market. But until we know what is going to happen with this, we can't really panic. But what we do know is the market loves certainty. Okay, and when they see a wallet of 8%, getting held secretly on Solana, the market panics, right? And there's naturally some kind of sell-off and things like that. But the minute there's clarity or certainty on how they're going to be dealing with the 8% supply, then Sol should just pick up and start cracking on as you do. So that is what we're going to be looking for on Solana. So right now there is FUD, there is potential sell pressure and things like that. But are they necessarily going to dump $6 billion worth of Solana? Are they really that stupid that they are going to do that? So there's a lot of things you need to think about here before panicking on your Sol. But, as things happen, when you see FUD like this, things start creeping through the cracks and old stories start surfacing and things like that. And Cardano Yoda, he says we still lack quality crypto analysts. Okay, he's basically saying some of the data showing the TVL and all these things on Sol might not be true. Okay, he's saying there could be falsified things and stuff like that. Are they lying about things happening? So these are the types of things you're going to see start creeping out. Now, it's not helping this guy's name because his name is Cardano Yoda. So he might have, it's different interests at heart, like the Cardano girl. Maybe he's dating them. Who knows? But here's an old tweet that he put out where he was basically shredding Sol. So you're probably going to see these type of things. Am I wrong or am I right?
Who is Cardano girl? Come on, man. Come on.
And so basically, he's just, if you want to read this, okay, this is this Cardano dude, but basically he's telling you how shit Solana is. If you could read his entire speech here. Now remember, he is a Cardano dude, okay, so he's or he could be a Cardano girl. But, the man might have a point, okay? And you're going to see these types of things surfacing. And then we've got Duo9 now, just jumping on the FUD here with the 6 billion. Maybe he just wants a bit of views. But he's basically saying Solana likely already topped in the cycle. And most are too blind to see it. I don't know. Personally, I think Sol could go higher. Okay, that looks like a giant bull flag to me, actually. and looks like we're going to be popping a bit higher there. And this is his weekly chart. So for me, that's a potential bull flag forming there. It's actually making me a little bit excited. So thanks for that. But yes, it could be potentially topping. We can't argue against it. And then night INJ to 100. Now, I got a feeling this guy wants to send INJ to 100 just by his name. But he's basically giving a Sol bearish scenario, and that's pinging a reasonable area here for me as well. So let's take a look at the Sol chart, and let's see what we are currently dealing with. So what are we looking at now? We've got a massive support here for Sol. And the reason I like this big zone, and I was talking about this to the Sniper Club group earlier today as well, we've got a lot in the way here for Solana. Okay, we've got the 100-day MA, we've got the 50-day MA, we've got a 618 pool, and we've got the 200-day MA. Everything in this cluster for me is a very big area here for Solana. It's going to take a hell of a lot of fun to start blowing through this region. So if you are sitting in Sol, okay, if you are number one, if you are sitting in a Sol position and you're thinking, oh shit, should I be selling? What is this guy saying? Maybe we're going to 120. Well, my suggestion here is wait. Okay, don't do anything. We've got a massive support here. Anything down to 145. This is a massive region for me. And I'm going to highlight something else using MDX Algo here. I've got another little support zone for you here. I've got an order block sitting here at 137. You can see I'm flashing this one on and off. Okay, there's an order block there at 137, so that is looking interesting. And, you know, so far, so good. So price GBT, well, he's got price GBT. You can also access this on MDX Algo here. This gives you a price prediction as to where things can potentially go. So this is nice to also just to play around with. But that's for another day. We can look at that on a different chart. But right now, Sol traders, wouldn't panic here. Anything down to 145 looks okay to me. We've got an order block at 137. So for me, yes, we could be slowly churning lower. If BTC is going to go to 60K, we could easily see situations like this where we start pinging of these types of zones. So we're going to have to watch these areas closely. But for now, nothing to panic about in this current area where we are sitting. And then the big one for me, lower down, 120. Okay, that's a big level. We know tons of people are going to be longing from that area. We're going to know a lot of guys are going to look for some big moves down here. So if you just take a look at this chart on the 12-hour, you can see we've got major levels here for Solana at around about 120 to 118. We've bounced off this area multiple times before. And, you know, we would expect the same. If BTC presses to 60K, things turn a little bit bearish. I think it's safe to say we most likely going to get these buys for Sol at 120. Now, not going to be a pretty picture. We might see ETH sub 2,800, for example, but that is that. And these are the current levels you really need to be thinking about now in the near term. So I wouldn't worry about anything lower until we start cracking 120. Then we can deal with that when the time is right. But right now, for me, you've got enough in the way to hold you up currently. And if you are leverage trading, well, big support here for you down to 145.4, and then you've got that backup order block there at 137. And remember, we need to change the macro situation needs to change a bit. There's a lot of talk now about war again. There's a lot of issues in the S&P. There's things going on in Japan. So remember, the conditions aren't great for a mega alt pump just yet. So the minute those things start changing for us, we are going to be moving forward again. So just be patient, but understand the macro, understand the bigger picture as well when you are looking for these trades. And, you know, when the macro sorts itself out and the S&P is ripping again and all the conditions are looking good again, then we can start playing these bigger sizes and all these types of things. But right now, for me, I'm sniffing around in these areas and I'm not doing anything too serious. You know, I'm playing very carefully here in these zones. And if there is momentum, we can always jump in later and add to size on these positions. But right now, for me, you can see I'm just playing it pretty safe at the moment, just fishing around these areas. We want to see if we get some kind of move. So this is my current trade here on Sol. You can see I jumped into a Sol long earlier when we pinged that level. And AVAX, I've got an AVAX position here. I'm going to show you that AVAX chart shortly. I am trading this one on WeX. Now, remember, this is a KYC free exchange. There's no KYC on the situation, and they've actually pinged me today, and they said they've got a special offer just for people watching my show. Okay, weekly trading milestone rewards. Basically, they want to dish out bonuses for trading. Okay, so if you are on the platform trading, there's their tiers that they are giving you. They're basically going to send you money. Okay, so it's all about the trading volume that you're doing there. And you might see if you're trading regularly and things like that, your volume is automatically just going to start growing. You're going to be quite surprised when you actually look at your trading volume as to see how much you're doing, especially if you're trading leverage. Remember, if you put $1,000 down on 10x, you've suddenly traded $10,000 of value. Now you do that 10 times, that's 10 trades. And you know, you're sitting at $100,000 worth of volume. Okay, so volume can go up pretty quickly in the course of a month or 3 months or whatever. So take a look at this VX. Here's their campaign. It started on the 2nd of August. And have a look. If you want to have a go there, there's a link in the description for you. And here is the current AVAX situation. Now, AVAX was interesting to me in this region. And this is AVAX on the daily. So there were a couple of reasons why this was starting to look interesting to me. And well, number one, the market sell-off was a thing. We spoke about this one yesterday. And you can see we've pinged that area yesterday. We had a strong bounce, okay? But now we've subsequently had that rejection. So the real test here for us now is, are the bulls going to step in here at 24 to 23.5? Are the bulls going to jump in here and start sending this thing higher, or are they going to chase us lower? So for me right now, AVAX is a potential zone of interest here, but we need BTC to hold that 50-day MA. We really need BTC to start behaving here. And, I'd like to see some kind of bounce or some kind of push here on the S&P as well, just to confirm, that the conditions are okay here for a short-term little bounce. So right now, AVAX on the lower time, on the 8 hour, you can also see another hint we had yesterday. We've got a heavily oversold RSI. The last time we had something like that, we had a nice little push higher, so we can see that. Then we had that ping here yesterday. We had a nice little push in here. And just one thing to note here, this RSI could potentially go even lower, and it could stay at the bottom for quite a long time. So we might even see a situation where they try and flush us and do something like that on AVAX. But what I'm saying is the signs are there that we are closer to a reversal than not. Okay, so for example, when we were at this phase, you could see this RSI was at the top on the 8 hour, and you can see how long this took to play out all the way to the bottom. Okay, and you can see from the bottom to the top the last time, look how long this took to play out. This was from the 5th of July to the 22nd of July. Okay, so that was 17 days. Okay, now we've had 22nd of July back to 2nd of August. That's 10 or 11 days as well. So now, we're nearly at the bottom of that move. Are we going to start a little push up now over the next week or two? Well, that remains to be seen. But AVAX potentially support here, 24.17 down to 23.5. Watch that area. If we lose that low, I'm jumping out of AVAX. It's as simple as that. If we lose this low here, 23.5, I'm jumping out of this trade, and I'm going to have a lovely weekend. Not worrying about AVAX positions. Okay, what else have we got here? I've got some soul plays here for you as well. Okay, this is interesting. So 𝗬𝗢𝗑𝗏's proposal to burn 30% of the dupe supply from the team allocation is now live. Okay, so this vote ends on the 4th of August. What does this mean? Well, if you're burning 30% of the supply, we know what that means is potentially bullish. Okay, they're removing supply off the market, and this could be super bullish for dupe. And as you can see, dupe is now moving into an area of interest for me. So we're waiting a little bit lower here for me. I'd like to see on the day of the vote, let's say by the 4th of August. So that's, when is that? Tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Okay, so maybe we're going to get some kind of meltdown here on dupe into that vote where they're going to burn 30% of supply. And I think that could be a nice little buy opportunity for us there. So 0.856 is what I'm going to be watching. 50-day moving average. 618 fib as well. We've got oversold MDX algo oscillators here as well. You can see that thing is pretty oversold as well. Looking for that to push a little bit lower down. Let's see what else we got going on here with our MDX algo. Here we go. We got some order blocks here. Let's see what our price GBT tells us. Wow, that's interesting. This is the price. So price GBT, this thing here is it's part of MDX algo. You can grab that link in the description. But basically what they're doing here is they're calculating 5,000 candles history. Okay, so they're looking at this price on the 4 hour and they're saying, based on the previous 5,000 candles, what do you think the price is going to do from an AI perspective? Okay, and they like to give a prediction. Now, again, I'm still testing this. I haven't confirmed that these things work perfectly or not, and I'm still testing the current process. Well, we're going to find out very quickly here. But basically what they're saying, they've given you stats here. So they've said 54% we get a bounce for this bright candle, 54% odds. Then we've got 18% odds for a bounce, also up, and 28% odds actually for a bounce. So basically what they're saying here is we've got 48. We basically got a 90% chance that it actually bounces here. Okay, using their price GBT. So the worst case bounce is actually just to resistance at the 0.995. So that is interesting, 0.995. And the best case bounce is basically Valhalla. So that is something to take note of. And so this is dupe on the 4 hour. I can't believe this thing. 90% chance saying it's a bounce. Well, fuck me, guys. Okay, there you go. 90% bounce. If this thing bounces, well, then we know it's going to work. So that's it. MDX algo price GBT. Take a look at that. There's a link in the description if you guys want to have a go and see what this is all about. But you can see as I'm talking here, this candle is turning green right now. Okay, so it remains to be seen. But stop losses here, if you are trying to fiddle around in this area, 0.928. Okay, you close under 0.928. Most likely you want to start trimming because my high conviction zone is lower down and my high conviction zone is waiting here for you, 0.858. Okay, that is the area of interest to me. And here's WIF. Okay, so a little reaction here for WIF so far. And 786 fib has been pinged. Okay, and what else do we know about WIF? So there could be a potential long here for you right now. And I'm sitting in a WIF long. I am a little bit underwater here. You can see I'm in a PEPE long and I'm in a WIF long here on ZoomX. So let's deal with this shortly. And right now, WIF, you can see we've got a little entry box here. And this is what we were looking for today. We were looking for this flash, this little meltdown into the 786 fib region, looking for a potential bounce in that area. So it's pretty clear. You can use today's low as your exit zone. That's 1.75. You can see it's actually pinged that perfectly here, 1.75. So that could be your exit plan for WIF. And then upside targets, very simple game plan here. 50-day moving average for me, 2.1. Look for that zone there. 50-day MA is 2.1. That's really going to be the most realistic target I can give you. So we don't want to shoot the lights out here. We're not trying to send this thing to the moon, but we're trying to look for a little bounce. So what I can suggest is, if this thing starts pushing higher, the minute you see this thing push higher, raise your stops, de-risk this thing, okay? The market conditions are incredibly tricky at the moment. So you don't want to get in a situation here where you get a little pump and then they turn it down and they stop you out. So if you want to trade this thing, 1.75 is your starting stop loss. If this thing starts pumping, raise your stops, de-risk, and the best target I can give you here is 2.1. Okay, so we're not asking for too much here, just a little bounce on WIF. And there were a couple of reasons why I like WIF. Let me just show you the MDX algo oscillator here. You can see this thing is heavily oversold and it's starting to print bright green dots for us. Okay, that must be some kind of bullish sign here from this thing getting oversold. And then one more thing I wanted to look at was their trend master. And their trend master has also started printing TPs. Now, if you see, if you can zoom in there, you can see I've got this TPX print. Okay, so that is telling me that there's potentially a reversal coming here on this guy as well. So that is interesting. Price GBT. Wow. Okay, this thing wants to send this thing higher from here. Okay, so you can see there's a bright green line. Ray, what do you mean? It's science. There's a bright green line right here. So those odds are 50%. It's saying that it pumps this thing up from here, and that data is based on the previous 5,000 candles. Okay, so it's not based on macro news. It's not based on anything like that. It's literally based on what the candles have been doing on the 4-hour time frame for the last 5,000. Okay, and that is how it's printing a picture for you. So that is something to watch. And then I've got a massive volume shelf here as well from using the MDX volume delta, and you can see the massive volume shelf. So we know if WIF does start melting down, we've got a massive volume band lower here. So you should get a bounce. If it does start pushing lower, you're looking at about 1.68, and then anything down to about 1.5 for me looks like your next big area. So remember the deal here. These are potential hot zones that we're looking at. These are zones that you can sniff around at. Now, these are the ones where you don't ape in everything you've got, okay? Because the macro conditions aren't great. All we're doing here is typically just looking for a little reaction in the zone. When we start getting trend breaks on, say, 15-minute candles and things like that, you can start adding to these trades. You can add to the breakouts and those type of things. But remember, when you play this type of game, always understand, where's my next big zone? Where's my next big reaction zone? Because what do we know? We know these altcoins are looking for some kind of reversal imminently, okay? But imminently could be in 2 days, okay? There could be another flush out. If you remember what happened in May, and yeah, it was in May when we had that CPI dump as well. We had a situation where a lot of these altcoins were sitting at reversal zones. And what did these guys do? They sent it up 1 or 2%, and then they absolutely flushed us one more time, and they went to ping the next levels. Okay, so just make sure on your charts you understand where your next big zones are. And these are areas, you just sniff around these areas. You do nothing serious here. And you can always jump on later with momentum. When the market brings that momentum back and the conditions turn right, then you can start increasing sizes and doing all those types of things. So right now, we're literally just fishing in these zones, and we're looking for some kind of 80-year-old hooker. What is going on here, bro? I love that 80-year-old hooker. Okay, and here's PEPE, same story. So just like you've seen with WIF, we've had our initial reaction in these areas. Okay, so this is reaction zone number 1, and here we are. So we're reacting on a 618. This is what we were looking for earlier today, and we've got our little move into that. So if you want to sniff around in the zone, the game plan here is you can start flirting with this area. But typically, what you want to see here, you want to see something along these lines, a little bit of structure here, and you want to see a trend break in that region. Okay, so you can sniff around here, play the game and see what's happening, then zoom in. Okay, you want to go 15 minutes, 1 hour candles, those type of things. You can zoom in and start watching when we get that structure change, when we get the trend breaks and things like that. And then you can start maybe looking to send this one a little bit higher. So right now, sniffing around a reaction zone, and this is just a typical reaction area that we've got happening here on the 618. So watch it, play it safely, and we can always add to these positions later on when there is momentum. And then just looking at the oscillator again, heavily oversold here in the current conditions. And let's see what else we got here. Big volume shelf, a little bit lower down. So that tells me if we do get one further flush here from the market, that tells me we've got a nice big area here, a little bit lower down. 876 is a nice little zone that you guys can be watching. 876, that's your backup area for that guy. And let's see what we got. Trendmaster, you can see we've got our TPs printed out for us and price GBT. Yeah, you're seeing a lot of this now. Okay, so right, this stuff doesn't take into account the macro like I've just explained, but here it is again. And most of these indicators here on price GBT are saying this could be a potential bounce zone. But I quite like what they're doing here. They put a move down onto the 786 fib here. So that looks pretty interesting to me. So right now, PEPE, you know the drill. You've got your levels. And your exit zone can be under today's wick low. So that dump there on that current move that we just had there on BTC. And let's take a look at. I want to get some of your charts out from you guys. Injective, I got stopped out of Injective. I tried Injective earlier, and you can see we had a nice little push up. We had a bit of consolidation, but now they are starting to sweat this thing lower. So I'm not liking the look of this right now. And for me, I'm waiting for lower. Okay, so no moves here on Injective for me. 19.2, that looks more sort of realistic to me. That is an area of interest for me. 19.2 for Injective. So unfortunately, that looks like a little bit more downside. If this thing does start pumping, there is no rush. You're just going to wait for some kind of play here, and you can look at that kind of trend break and things like that. So there's no urgency here on this one. I'm expecting more downside, and 19.2 is where I would start sniffing around on that one. So let's see how that plays out. Then you gave me 2 requests, guys. One of them was dusk that you asked for so politely in the chat. The person said, please, can you do dusk? So I'd love to do dusk for you here. And let's just take a look at this. Let me just clean some of my screen, and let's get rid of some of these MAs that are in the way. Okay, so the big MAs that I love, naturally, the 100-day MA, 50-day, 200-day, I'm leaving those on the chart. Let's see what Dusk says on the weekly. The first thing you want to do is start hunting solid weekly levels. You want to hunt areas where you think you can get some kind of support, some kind of bounce zone. So the first play here is we want to just pull a fib from the lows to the highs. And we want to see what type of fibs are in the way of this current move. So let's see where our 786 is. Okay, we've lost that. Okay, that is not a good look at the moment. So you can see here, this is a weekly level tied in with a 786 fib. So not a good look at the moment. So you can see the candles here. Look how many candles I've got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. My counting's excellent, isn't it? 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, tons of weekly candles. Okay, so what we understand about that, and what my point is here, this is a very strong weekly level. Okay, so right now it looks like Dusk is losing a very strong weekly level. When that happens, we need to understand where is our next zone? Where's the next reaction area? Where do we get a bounce next? And the most obvious one for me looks like this little cluster down here on Dusk. Okay, so I would be watching 0.15. Okay, so for me, Dusk 0.15 looks like the most reasonable area where we could get our next potential move. But remember, these are weekly candles, so you could easily see something like this, a bit of down, up, down, up. This could play out over a bit of time, but you could be potentially looking at that 0.15. So that is a potential zone there for you on Dusk. I don't like that it's printed a new low here on the weekly. Not the best look at the moment, so just a little bit careful there. If it reclaims this weekly and starts holding support in this region, the 21, 22 region, then maybe you're going to be on for your next push up. Okay, so that is that. And then there was a question for ICP. That was the one. I haven't done this one in a while. Let's take a look here. Let's just get rid of that. Okay, so what can we see here? Okay, we've seen a nice little dump here on ICP and a nice rejection there so far. Let's look at some fibbage. Okay, bang, look at that, 786 on the weekly. Isn't that a thing of beauty, that little reaction there? And something as simple as a fib. I mean, can you believe it? These things actually respond like that to these things. And there we are. So that is your first big level. So ICP, your first big zone here, 6.7 is what you're going to be watching now. We're looking for interim weekly levels. Where can we get potential bounces in this current zone here? Let's look. We're looking for 618s. We're looking for 382s. We want to see those types of tie-in. And on the weekly chart, pretty interesting here because we've got a mix of fibs and we've got a mix of weekly levels. So let's just take a look there. I've just highlighted a 0.5. Okay, and you can see right now it's reacting on a 0.5. So levels of interest for me for ICP. Okay, this is the weekly chart. Right now it's holding 50-day MA. So anything from 50-day MA down to 8.37 looks interesting to me. That is a nice weekly juicy zone here as well. Okay, so you see these weekly candles here. Look at these reactions in that area. So anywhere in this region for me looks like some kind of support here. You could be playing off this region currently. So that is call it 8.35 anywhere in that region. And then a little bit lower down, you've got 7.7. Okay, now 7.7 is interesting because you've also got some weeklies here where this was support previously. So 7.7 is your next one that you're looking for a reaction on. So maybe we get a little bounce here. But then for me, if we do turn down again, 7.7 is the next one where we could potentially be getting a reaction there. So 7.7, 7.77. Okay, those are the areas that you're going to be watching. And so, guys, do me a favor. You know what to do. Drop it nicely in the comments here after the show. Drop the charts you want. I'll look as many as possible. And remember, all these charts that you see every day that I do on the show, 90% of them I update daily in the Sniper Club. I put that in there every single day. All these charts, Sniper Club members, they have access to my charts every day. I update. They wake up. They open Sniper Club, bang, all the charts are there laid out for them, and they can see my thinking, they can see my thought process, and how I go about stuff. So if you're interested in that for Sniper Club alone, jump in there. Obviously, there's way more than that going on in Sniper Club, but that is just a little bit as to what is happening there. And Ray, what's up? Bullish or bearish, bro? What's going on here?
Right now, bullish. Right now, just for now. Scout.
Okay, you feeling bullish? Okay. Ray's feeling bullish again.
Okay, nice. Okay, have a great weekend. Yeah, I'm back on Sunday. I think main channel or Banter Plus, but I'm back on Sunday. Okay, we're going to nail this on Sunday. We're going to tee you up for the week. Whatever happens this weekend, forget about it. Sunday night, let's go. And we'll tee you up for the week ahead. So lots to talk about then. Guys, lovely. Have a good weekend. See you later.